If I give him back his revolver, she will die. If I don't, I will. Redstone, Arizona Territory, 1886. In our town, the law hung on a nail like an old horseshoe. Deadly weapons within town limits only by permit. All others to be placed in storage. The storage place was my stable. People turned in Colts, Winchesters, even bone-handled knives. I wrote down the name in a ledger, hung the weapon in its slot, and handed back a copper token with a number on it. Simple enough. No token, no gun. That was how we survived fairs, drunken nights, and strangers who liked measuring their pride faster than they could reload. He came in without a creak, as if the door itself had decided not to argue. Clean gloves, dust on his boots foreign, road dust. He set a token on the counter, 9, a copper disc with 2 nicks in it, like fingernail marks. Give it back, he said. Mine. Now, I recognized the token. It belonged to Laura Hayes, the telegraph operator. At that very moment, Laura was up in the loft, behind the hay bales where it smelled of dry alfalfa and fear. That morning she had come to me pale as if they had already buried her. I took a telegram not meant for the addressee. She whispered, "Payroll car, night, Redstone, sheriff isn't on it." There were signatures, and a name. She did not say it aloud, only touched her lips with her fingertips. A federal deputy marshal is due on the 110 train. I need to stay alive until the whistle, so I took her little .32, not because I feared her, because I feared myself. In the past, I had seen how weapons make people simpler than the truth does. Now a strange man stood there holding her token. "That token isn't yours," I said. My voice came out steady, though my mouth had gone dry. "Number 9 is registered to Miss Hayes." He smiled not with his lips, but with the calm way he drew breath. "Paper loves lies," he answered, "and I love silence. You want the telegraph to speak again? Then do as I say." From the street came a shout, someone cursing near the post office. I caught Laura's eye through a crack in the loft boards. She raised a hand and gave the slightest shake of her head. The line was dead. The telegraph wire had been cut. The town had become an island. "The train will be late," the man said, "and no one will hear if you make a mistake." He stepped closer. Now I could see the crease in his cuff, fine cloth, not meant for the dessert, and the stain along the side of his jacket, not dust. Dry blood, carefully washed, but not completely. "What's your name?" I asked, buying time. Holt. Lie or not, it didn't matter. What mattered was the way Holt said it, as if a name were a permit. Behind him 2 others appeared. One held the reins, the other rested a hand near his belt, where his sawed-off shotgun was usually hidden. They had entered town without visible weapons, which meant they already had guns or soon would. I opened the drawer with the tokens and ledger and pretended to search for the line, though I remembered number 9 as well as I remembered my own sin. My sin was simple. 2 years earlier, on the road to Benson, I had shot a man who should not have died. More than anything in the world, I wanted no one ever to speak my former name. Holt leaned over the counter as if reading the ledger with me and whispered, "You know how to disappear too. I know who you were before Redstone. I can leave you alone. Hand over the revolver, and we forget each other." There it was. The old road again. Do what is easy and vanish into the dust. I lifted my head and looked toward the door. Out on the street stood people, not heroes, just townsfolk. The blacksmith with his sleeves rolled up, a woman with a basket, the gambler from the saloon who always laughed too loudly. Every one of them believed the tokens made the town safe, and Laura up above believed the train would still come. I took her .32 from its slot. By habit, I opened the cylinder, empty. I kept the cartridges locked away separately. It was safer that way. Until hope runs out. Hope held out his hand. "Give it here." I laid the revolver on the counter slowly, so everyone could see the metal. Then I covered it with my palm and said loudly, not to Holt, but to the street, "Token number 9 belongs to Miss Hayes. If anyone's here for her weapon, let him say her name and sign the ledger." The silence hit harder than a gunshot. Holt froze. His men glanced at each other. A crowd is always a risk no one can fully calculate. "You're playing games," Holt said, louder now. "I came here on business." "Then we'll do business properly," I answered. "By the rules." And out loud I read the line from the town notice hanging on the door, about reasonable time, and place of storage. Funny thing, sometimes even bandits are afraid not of the law, but of witnesses. Holt suddenly swept my hand aside, snatched up the revolver, and stopped. He realized the cylinder was empty. His eyes turned cold. "You think I came alone?" he asked. The sawed-off appeared in an instant in his man's hands, like a snake from under a rock. The barrels pointed not at me, but at the people. The crowd recoiled. Someone screamed. Someone ran, stumbling. Dust rose like a wall, and through that dust I heard something else, a thin whistle, far away, like a promise. The train Holt heard it too. He lunged for the loft stairs. "Laura!" I shouted and threw myself in his path. We collided at the bottom step. His glove smelled of soap and iron. He punched me in the gut short, professional. Light flashed in my eyes, but I stayed upright and grabbed his sleeve, dragging him down into the sawdust. The sawed-off clicked. Holt's man was trying to draw a bead, but the townspeople were no longer standing in a neat line. The blacksmith charged not bravely, but furiously. The gambler from the saloon grabbed a bucket of water and hurled it into the gunman's face. The water burst like silver. The sawed-off jerked. The shot went into the air. Laura came down on her own, not with a revolver, with a strip of telegraph tape in her hand, like evidence. She held it high for all to see. "He cut the line," she shouted, "and he wanted you to know nothing." The whistle grew louder. The rails began to hum. Holt twisted free, dropped to one knee, and finally drew his own weapon, a second revolver hidden in a shoulder holster beneath his jacket. That was why he did not need number 9. He only needed a reason to get close. The barrel rose toward Laura. I did not have time to think. I simply stepped between them. The shot rang out. I felt the impact not in my chest, but in the token box at my belt. Metal clanged, like someone striking a bell. I fell to my knees, but I was still alive. The bullet had buried itself in a thick stack of copper tokens. Laura looked at me as if for the first time she understood that iron can save a man. The train burst into town with steam and whistle. A man in a gray coat jumped down onto the platform. A star gleamed on his chest. 2 more came after him, hands up. He barked. Holt glanced at the crowd, at the train, at the star, and then at me, at the token box dripping blood, and he smiled. "Too late, deputy," he said. "Your witness has already slept free. And he nodded at me, "your hero isn't who he says he is." The man with the star stepped closer. His eyes were calm, like water in a well. "Miss Hayes," he said, without looking at Holt, "do you have the tape?" Laura held out the telegraph strip, then another one, thin, folded in half, "and this too," she added softly, looking at me. "I recognized you this morning, from the description. I only wanted to find out who you really were, a fugitive, or a man." The deputy unfolded the second strip. It was a telegram bearing my old name. He lifted his eyes. "The train has arrived," he said. "The only question is, who goes on in it?" And in that moment I understood. The tension had not ended. It had only changed shape. I clenched the pierced number 9 token in my hand, and for the first time in many years, I did not want to disappear. YouTube, Western narration.